Hi, this is Blocking Mad. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to sponsor transactions using Enoki. So, in the last video, I showed you how to sign transactions when you're working zkLogin, but just like a normal sign, nothing different. For this time, we're going to be signing transactions and we're going to be sponsoring them of using Enoki. So, let's take it off two things. First of all, here it is stated that sponsoring transactions requires using a private API key, and also it says use a backend service with private API keys to perform sponsor transactions using Enoki. So right now we're going to be doing sponsor transactions at a backend. We're not going to be writing in our front end. So first of all, we have to come to our Enoki portal and we have to create a new API key. For this time, I'm basically going to be going with testnet. This time we're going to be choosing sponsor transactions and it's going to be a private. So I don't think I make it public for small transactions. So you just have to be private and you're not meant to put private API keys in your front end. So let me click sponsor transaction and let me save it. Okay, after that, we're going to be creating a backend. So normally if you're using Next.js, you could write backend separately using X. But right now, since I'm just using React, I'm going to have to create a lab backend again. So first of all, I will come here and create a new folder and I'll call it Enoki sponsor back end. Then after that, let me open this in my terminal. Let me just do np init. After that, I'll be installing some things, so I'll just copy them and paste them over here. So I'll be installing, first of all, I'll be installing Misty Enoki. I'll be installing Express Corps and .env. Also, I'll be installing, sorry. So I'll be installing this. Now, while that is installing, let me create a tsconfig.json. Then let me just paste in this code right here. Then I'll call begin.activity.yaml file. And I'll paste in my Enoki private key. So let me just name it Enoki private key. Let me head back to browser and copy this and paste it over here. If installed those, then I'll create another file again and I'll call it server.ts. Okay. So for that, let me import Express from Express. Let me import course from course. Let me also import Enoki clients and let me import .env import .env from .env. Then .env.config. Let me head over to the docs and come over here. So first of all, I have to set up my Enoki client. So let me just copy this and go back over here, paste it. And then let me come back here again. Okay, this will be done in the front end. Then this is what you have to do. You have to write an API to do this to create a sponsored transaction. So first of all, in Enoki, when you want to like sponsor transaction, first of all, how it works, you have to create a transaction. This will be done in the front end. Then you have to build the transaction. You have to build the transaction bytes. This is like creating and building transaction. Then you have to build the transaction bytes. These two will be done from the front end. Then what the back end does right now is to create this sponsor transaction. So the back end will create this sponsor transaction using Enoki. Then after creating this sponsor transaction, it will send back the results to the front end. The front end has to like sign the transaction. Then we would not bring back executes to the back end. So let's erase this out. This will be done in front end. Then this will also be done in the front end. So what we have to do right now is just try two endpoints to create this sponsor transaction and execute it. So to do that, let me come here. Let me just come here and say start my app. So I'll say app equal to express. Then okay, called and express as JSON. So let me also define my ports. I'll be using Python around 1 for my ports. So you can use any port you want. So first of all, let me create the first endpoint. It's going to be post request. So I'll do app dot post. Then I'll call it slash API slash spawn so transaction. Then my requests, let me give it the type of requests. I think I have to import requests here from Express. So let me come here and import request and response from Express. And I would come here and say requests. Objects. Then I'll create an a custom type. Let me call it sponsor transaction. So let me come here and create interface. I'll call it spawn so transaction transaction requests. Then the value it holds, let me come back here to documentation. So if you look at our sponsor transaction type. So first of all, let me just copy all this here. So this also I'm going to be sending from our front end. And paste it here. This now, the network now will either be actually the network will be optional, and it will either be devnets or text length or minutes. Then the interaction bytes is going to be a string. The sender also is going to be a string. Then the allowed call targets is going to be optional, and it's going to be an array of string. Also, the addresses is also going to be optional. Allowed addresses, and it's going to be an array of string also. So I'll come here and put in sponsor interaction requests. Then our response is going to be of type response. Then in here, let me just do a catch. So type catch. So first of all, I'll picking up these values from my body. So this will be from the body. Then what I would not do, I would not come here again. Let me copy this. Sorry. And paste it over here. But this time I'm going to change this to network. Interaction bytes also will be interaction bytes. We defined them before. Then the sender is going to be sender. The constant targets also. Sorry, the move targets. Move call targets, and also this. Then let's just listen. I'm going to put in success. If this is like successful, then I'm going to return the bytes. I'll get this from bytes. Then also returning the digest. Going to be just digest. So, but if there was an error and did not work, let me console.log error. Or let me just say something like console.error. Let me just give a message. That's a transaction field. So that will be it for our first endpoint. The second one I'll be writing is for the execution of transaction. So I'll come here and say app.post. Then to be /API /execute sponsored transaction again. And okay, this time I'll be taking let me just come here and create a interface again. We're going to be execute interaction requests. Let me go back to the docs and see. So if we had to execute sponsor interaction, we really need digest and the signature. So let me copy this. This to be of type string, so let me make this string, and signature will also be a string. So let me just copy this here and replace this with it. So right now we're only taking the digest and the signature. So what are we going to do with both of them? I'll come back here again and just copy this Enoki client execute and sponsor, execute sponsor transactions. Paste it here. I'm taking the digest. Let me just link this. And the signature. I'm successful. Let me do this sponsor JSON successful and let me return also the results if content. And if there's an error, I will just console.log the error. And let me send something like failed to the key transaction. Here also let me just put in a print statement also. So just put in a print statement so that when we assign transactions from the front end, we would know. So console.log. Let me just call it sponsor interactions. Spawn interaction. And then I'll come here and make this the key interaction. I think that's okay for now. So right here, let me just say app.listing. Then I'll listen to ports, which is going to port 1, and I'll say something like listening to the ports. I think that's okay for now. Let's try to run our backend server to see. So let me convert my package.json and make sure everything correctly. So for here, I will come here to make the main. Okay. Let me just leave that for now since I'm not going to production. Let me just change it to dev and I'll be doing node. Sorry. I'll be doing tsx watch server .ts. I'll come here and maybe type module. Then my main will be this /server.js. Then the stats will start to be node this server /js. That's it. So let me try to start my server and see. npm run dev. Okay, I think I was supposed to install tsx as a dependency, but I forgot to. Let me just install it. So we install that. Let me clear my terminal. Let me try to run this again. So right now we have our backend server up and running. Let's go back to our front end again and write some front end codes. Let's go to do some things. So I head over to my home.tsx. So right now, instead of we to do server interactions, we want to sponsor that transaction. So to do that, after building that transaction, let me comment this out. Let me create a new function and let me call it handle spawn sort tx. Let me copy this for a new transaction. Okay. This time this here would not work. It doesn't work. But let me just go ahead and let's see. Because when I tried it before, it did not work. So but do we will first do that it will actually work. So after doing that, we also have to specify the sender of the transaction. So we have to come here and say tx dot sender dot set sender is current account dot address. So this time now I would now be building transaction. So I'll call it tx bytes equal to tx dot build to build transaction. So first of all, to build, I'll specify my client. So come here and say client is equal to sui client. I think we also have a sui client here. Okay, we don't. So uh, uh, this client supposed to be use sui clients. Thank you. Supposed to be use sui clients. Let me use sui client. And this is going to be use sui client. Am I correct? Okay, no. This comes from the dapp-kit. Yeah. So I'm going to know whether using it. So let me come here and specify a client as to be sui client. Then maybe something wrong here. Okay. Then I have to specify. Let me just make this true. So after that, I'll be sending this. Like I told you, first of all, you have to build the transaction. Like you have to build the transaction or create transaction. Then you have to build the transaction bytes. Then after that, you have to send this to the backend to sponsor the transaction. So to sponsor the transaction now, let me come here and do this. Const spawn sod response is going to be await. Then I guess we're fetching. So where are we fetching from? Let me come here and declare a busy area. So I think it should be local with around one. Let's call it backend area. So coming back over here, I'll be fetching from this. So the method is going to be posts. Then for the headers content type, going to be JSON. Then for the body, is going to be JSON, no signify. The network is going to be testnet. Creation type, creation byte, creation byte. Sender is going to be current account. Then allowed call target. The allowed address is I'm going to specify our address. So I'm doing current accounts.address. Then also I have to also specify the recipient address I'm sending it to also. I'll specify both of them. Then after that, I would say if this is okay, nope, I'll not do this. Rather, if this is not okay, we'll just bring this out. Rather, if this is not okay, let me just do a new error and see if it's correct reaction. Then coming, making a mistake somewhere. This is supposed to be inside here. Then I'll pick up the byte and the digests. Be successful. I'll pick up those. Then after that, I'll have to get the signature. Then this will now be I'll wait. Then I'll sign the transaction. So I think I have to import sign transaction also. So let me come here and import sign transaction. Let me just get use sign transaction. And I'll come over here and call this sign transaction equals to sign transaction. I'll copy this and where is that? I'll paste it over here. So for transaction, I'm going to be signing. I'm going to take in transaction bytes. Alright, I'm not going to need digest, so let me just leave this out. Did I make a mistake again? Sign transaction. This is supposed to be like this, I think. Where's this? Oh, it's supposed to be like this. Think so, yeah. Transaction. There needs to be transaction bytes. Then after that, I can see also if Rod's signature. Let me change to sign. Let me just come and let me do an error and say failed site. Then after that, I think this is correct. I have to also execute the sign transaction. So it's going to be post and content type. I think everything is correct. So I can come here and say if the response is not okay, I would say fails to execute transaction. Yeah, I can come here and say await response.json, and I would say if response okay, I can now see transaction sent. So right now, let me come here and change this to handle. Let me change this to what the name is. Handle sponsor interactions. Let me copy it and let me paste it over here. I think everything is ready. Our backend is running on 2001, and also here, let me not waste much time. If it is really long, this will not even work. You can't pass text the gas coin for small interactions. So what we have to do, we have to create a function that will be able to maybe fetch all the coins from the user. Then you try to maybe split the coins. So to do that, I have a function already I wrote before. So I'll be coming here. Let me just paste the function over here, which is get coins. So let me comment this out because it would not work. I'll come here and get coin. Then I have to pass in my transaction. I have to pass in the owner of the coin, which is going to be current account dot address. I also have to pass in the client, which is going to be sweet client, and I have to pass in an amount. So I will pass in this. Let me come here. And then this will be equal to this. And I'll come here and pass in the amount to our function. Going to be of typing int. So that's it. Then I can now transfer the coin. Let me come here. I'll just go to movies. So I'll now transfer the coin. Okay, I think come here and put await. And then also before I do this, I have to convert this to base 64. So I have to convert this to a base 64 string to base 64. I have to come up here and also import to base 64. Okay, I think that's all. My backend server is running. Okay, let's try again. Okay, let me also come here. I have to specify the sender also. So if you notice, I specified the recipient, which we must always do. I have to specify when sending assets, I have to specify my address and also the receiver's address. If not, if I try to sponsor interaction, it would not work. So that's for when sending assets. But let me come to my front end again. Sorry. Okay, let me copy an address. So let me copy this address and let me try to send 0.1 sui. Let me inspect just in case we might have an error. Let me also come back here and check if my backend server is running. Okay, sorry. Let me click on send. So let's check our backend. We'll see sponsor interaction. Key failed. Let's see the reason why it failed. Let's try to see what's happening. Let me see. Let me move this up here and see. Let me go and check my back and uh private key. Private key. This is correct. Let me go back again and try to do it again. Let's check our backend sponsoring. Okay, executive transaction. So I think we successfully sent transaction. Let me refresh and let's see if our balance reduced. Okay, transaction sent. Let me refresh again. Now we see we sent and our balance reduced. So let me give a last scenario again. There might be a scenario where you might need to call it a smart contact. So right now I have a smart contact here. We'll come here. There's this smart contact here, and if I open it, you would see this add function. So I would also call the add function. I want to sponsor the transaction. So doing that, it's kind of a little bit different from like sending assets. So let me come back here to my front end code home.tsx. So now for now, let me just comment these out because I'll be doing a move call. So for me not to waste time, I think I have the package ID set. I think I have it somewhere. Okay. So let me just paste it over here. So I will paste in a move call, and I think this is smart contact, not smart contacts. So doing this also, one thing, take note of something. Before you could call it smart contacts when sponsoring, you should always put in your targets, your move call target. So you should put it here. Sorry, it's supposed to be a string. So you have to specify it here, or if you don't specify it here, you can go to the Enoki portal. Oh yeah, I go to the Enoki portal. You can just come to sponsor transaction, add move call targets, and you can just paste it over here to add move call targets. So it's either you do it here and save it, or you do it here. So you can do either ways, or you can do both if you wish, but you can do either ways. Most times I do add it from my front end. So either ways it will work. And also right now I'm not sending it to anybody, I'm not sending it transaction, so the recipient is not important. So let me just copy this and paste it over here, and let me just comment on off, and let me remove this recipient here. I think this works. So for now, we're just trying to see how calling smart contacts works. I think this works. So I think right now, okay, right now let me just go back here and let me click on send, because right now this will work, because right now I'm not using this again. I'm calling making a move call. So let me just click on send. Okay, look at the transaction sent. So we successfully called that function. So we come and look at it, we sponsored and we executed the transaction. So that's it for Enoki. I showed you how to transfer assets, and last video I talked about signing transactions. This video I talked about sponsor transactions. So I showed you when you want to sponsor sending and assets. I used Sweetcoin as an example, and I also said from documentation you always have to sponsor your transaction from the backend. So I advise you use Next.js, because right now I'll have to go and deploy my backend somewhere else and also deploy my front end somewhere else. So you can just go ahead and use Next.js. So subsequently I'll be maybe making, I'm not sure, but I might make a Next.js tutorial for this, or I can look at the Next.js code and copy it on the repo. So that's it. One thing also that I should take note of when making move calls, don't forget to allow your move call target, because this might be an issue. You might keep getting errors, and come to it, like I come across this error so many times when I don't specify my call targets, and I keep getting to error. So always make sure when you're calling smart contacts, you specify this here, and when you're sending an asset to maybe another address or somewhere else, always specify the address, the recipient's address, always specify it in allowed address. So that's it for Enoki. I've gone through the basics of all you need to do for smart transaction, and also signing in with Enoki. So right now, I believe you should have I think a beginner understanding to like work with Enoki, and it's not be hard for you to navigate it. If you have any question, feel free to DM me, or if you have come into any issue while implementing Enoki and zkLogin, you can feel free to DM me. My social media handles are in the description below. Just feel free to DM me, or you can drop your questions here. I'm ready to support you. So that's it for Enoki and zkLogin. So thank you very much. See you. Watch out for the next tutorial video.